and welcome. My name is Stephanie Kilby, and I'm the UAGC Director of Student Success and the host for this session, Tools That Connect, Harnessing the Power of Video to Cultivate Belonging. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I am so pleased to introduce you to Dr. Nate Pritz, Catherine Pepboy, and Whitney King. Dr. Pritz, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Stephanie. Really excited today to talk a little bit about the use of video in the classroom, particularly to create that sense of belonging in students, to kind of galvanize a community of learners in the classroom. And I'm really excited today to talk with Katie and Whitney about this, in part because we don't necessarily have different perspectives, but we have different backgrounds, and we come to this from slightly different angles. So we're each going to give a little bit of a pitch. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our own experiences and some of the things that we think work for us. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for questions from anybody here, questions from each other to each other. We're just hoping to have a really good conversation and learn more about how we can all kind of actualize this practice in our own classrooms. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen here, which means I need to minimize that. So in the online classroom, video gives us a unique opportunity to bridge the gap that can sometimes exist between instructor and student. It lets us go beyond text and static images, adding a sense of presence, clarity, and even a bit of humanity that's hard to replicate otherwise. For my work in the classroom, I've considered video in three main areas, and that's what I want to talk about today. Ways that you can enhance the online learning experience, from using video to help connect with students to create strong instructor presence, which help builds connection and a sense of belonging from day one. I want to also look at how video can be a dynamic instructional tool, making complex topics more understandable and engaging. And finally, I want to look at how video can be used for feedback, making our guidance to students feel more personal and impactful. Each of these approaches doesn't just make the class feel more interactive, it can help students feel supported and seen and add to that sense of belonging. So one of the most challenging aspects of teaching online is establishing a strong presence. In a physical classroom, presence comes naturally, and it kind of happens without having to do anything. Students see us and hear us and get a sense of our body language. But in online courses, creating that sense of connection requires a little bit of a different intentional approach. And this is where I think video can be a really powerful tool. On day one of the course, instead of students being greeted by a list of readings or assignments or a bunch of announcements and emails, what if a student first thing saw a short video of you, their instructor, welcoming them to the class? They would get to hear your voice, see your smile or your frown, I guess, and experience your enthusiasm for the subject. In those first few seconds, they already know that you're not just a name on the screen. They can start to connect the different experiences of the course with you as the person who can help foster and enable that and create that sense of belonging that students will be able to thrive under. Video allows you to put that human face on the class, and that can be incredibly grounding for students. We all know that online learning can sometimes feel isolating. By using video, we're creating a bridge that reminds students they're not going through this alone. There's someone real who's walking alongside them on this journey. This sense of connection and belonging is vital for student engagement and can improve their overall experience and retention in the course. When I talk about a video introduction, I'm not just talking about saying, "Hi, this is Dr. Nate, I'm your teacher." I'm thinking more of it as an opportunity to share something about yourself, to make the learning environment feel a little warmer and more personal. For example, you might share why you're passionate about the particular subject, or even a personal story that connects to the course content. Uh, for me, one of the things I share is that I was not a good student and had a lot of challenges on my way to navigating some of my degrees. Uh, I think making myself vulnerable in that way allows students to see me as a person. It's not necessarily about the disclosure for the sake of disclosure. Confession, though it might be good for the soul, is not something that I'm trying to force anybody to reciprocate. It just feels authentic to me to let people know why I'm there and maybe how I got there. If you're new to creating videos of this type, don't worry, we'll share some more strategies as the session goes on. But I think one thing that I would ask is that you remember you don't have to be fancy with videos. I think if you've got good lighting and clear audio, that's fine. Beyond that, if dogs are barking in the background or people are filtering in and out of the room, I think that's okay. Um, we want to make sure that students just can understand the the benefit of what you're describing in the video. It doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be professionally produced. Another thing that research tells us is that anybody will engage with videos if they are shorter, more reliably if they're shorter. So I would encourage you to think about, if you're going to do an introductory video, try to keep it under 5 minutes. Using video to connect in this way, we're doing more than just introducing ourselves. We're helping to set the tone for the class, creating an environment that's welcoming and accessible. We're letting students know right from the start that they have someone in their corner. Ultimately, video is a tool that allows us to be more present even in an online space. And that presence, just the knowledge that there is a person behind the screen who cares, can be the foundation for a more engaging and supportive learning experience. Once we've established our presence with students, video can also become a powerful instructional tool. In an online setting, one of our main challenges. That's naive. We have so many main challenges. It's making complex material clear and engaging, just like it would be in a face-to-face classroom. Video can help bridge this gap. It's particularly helpful when explaining these complex topics and challenging aspects to course content. For example, if there's a theory that students often struggle with or a math process that requires step-by-step demonstration, video allows us to take our time and explain it as we would in person. Students can see and hear us work through the topic, which can make it easier to follow and understand. What's even better is that video provides students with the flexibility to pause, rewind, rewatch as needed, and where they need it to control their own learning pace. One effective approach that I've taken in some of my courses is to create micro lectures, short focused videos that deliver essential information on a particular concept or topic. Unlike full-length lectures, a micro lecture is intentionally brief, it's micro, and allows you to focus on one key idea or skill at a time. These videos help to break down larger concepts into manageable pieces. They also fit really well with that natural attention span that I was talking about earlier, keeping a video short. Another benefit is that it allows us to incorporate visuals, slides, graphics, or screen sharing. So if you're demonstrating a process or showing how something works in the classroom, piece of software, or some kind of lab experiment, screen sharing can make it easier for students to follow along and understand each of the tips. Remember what I said before, same thing goes here. These videos don't need to be perfect. It's more important to get them done and up for students to interact with. It's really about extending our teaching beyond the limits of text. It's a way to explain, demonstrate, and illustrate material in a dynamic way that meets students where they are and respects their individual learning paces. Finally, I want to talk about the use of video for feedback, because I believe it can have a huge impact on student motivation and understanding. because I've seen it happen in my own classes. Feedback is one of the main ways that students gauge their progress and understand where they need to improve. But when feedback is only written, it can sometimes feel impersonal, even disconnected, and it can be massively misinterpreted. Video feedback, on the other hand, offers a unique opportunity to make the feedback feel more direct and encouraging, and personalized. One of the greatest benefits of video feedback is that it lets students not only read what you're saying, you'll still provide some written feedback, but hear your tone and emphasis when you're explaining. When you can emphasize key points verbally and convey your tone, students are more likely to understand your intention and interpret the feedback positively. They can hear the encouragement in your voice, or your excitement about something that they did really well. One of the things that I've tried to do in my video feedback is to really focus on key themes. I have given video feedback to students where I literally just record myself grading their paper so they can see every aspect of the process as I track through line by line and react to everything they've done. And while that might be helpful, I'm sure it's a little overwhelming. So focusing on pulling out those broader themes, maybe one thing that the student did really well, and maybe one thing the student needs to work on, I think stands a better chance of getting through to the student, getting them to understand what they actually need to do as a result of the feedback. Personalizing it in that way also really can work to humanize you as an instructor, to continue that presence that we talked about earlier. When students see you talking directly to them, it reminds them that someone's there who genuinely cares about their success in the course. This type of connection can go a long way toward boosting motivation and persistence, and it generates that sense of belonging. But again, try to keep the videos brief and try to think about how you're going to deliver the feedback video to students. You're going to want to do that, of course, as directly as possible, because I'm imagining you will be discussing grades in the video, and you'll want to make sure that students can access it when and where they need to. Those are the three sort of areas or themes that I have found useful in thinking about video in my instructional practice. But there are other ways to think about those three things and other things to think about. So I'm going to stop there, but I do want to drop into the chat some links that I couldn't share when I was presenting because I can't do too many things at once. These are links to articles or videos about those three areas I was talking about. Video as a way to connect, video as a way to bolster instruction, and video as a way to deliver feedback. Just some things that I've done in my classes that might be helpful for you to look at as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Whitney.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and sort of share. One of my professional backgrounds is in instructional design, and I worked with other instructional designer who was really into this idea of community of inquiry, especially in an online environment. And so for those of you who are familiar with this, I'll just do a quick run through. And if you're not familiar with it, hopefully you'll learn something new and figure out how to change with your practice. So the first thing with community of inquiry is this idea of a social practice. And Nate mentioned this idea of in an online environment, we are at a disadvantage in that we are not physically all together. Even if we're online at the same time, sometimes you'll notice you're online at the same time as your students, you're not physically with them. And so this idea of a social presence, that your students feel like they're a part of a community, and that there's a sense of reciprocity between themselves and their peers and between you and them. And then cognitive presence is this idea of the learner. This is where they're learning, they're problem solving, they're interacting and engaging with the content. And then the teaching presence is us as the instructor, and it's how we're helping facilitate the learning, bringing in our own personality, infusing our own passion for our subject matter. And for me, video really helps us leverage all of these different presences so our students really can benefit from our expertise and from the subject matter we're teaching. And so for social presence, one of the key things for me about video is, as Nate said, it makes you more visible and more approachable. And I think especially, and I was going to say, I think especially for instructors who maybe teach, the quote unquote hard classes or the classes that people don't want to take. And I sort of say that tongue in cheek because I teach writing and the English classes, and I don't think I've ever had a student who's like, oh, hot dog, I'm so glad I'm being required to take this writing class. And so a part of my process as a teacher, as an instructor, is to really sell them on the idea of the content that we're teaching and the value to them, not only in my class and their other classes, but just as a person and hopefully as a well-rounded individual in their industry. So videos allow for you to be more approachable. And I think a big part of social presence is this idea of building trust, in that they trust that you are an expert and that when you provide feedback and share your expertise, that they can trust that that's coming from a place of, you know what you're talking about and you care about them and you want them to be better. And I feel like video is one of the best ways to do that, especially in an online classroom. The other thing that I have noticed with videos when I've used them in class is it really does help my students feel like I am in there in the trenches with them, versus, maybe they hear from me in the discussion forum and maybe I post an announcement here or there. And of course I give them the grading feedback. But when they see the videos in there and you're walking through something and explaining something, it really does help them feel like you're more connected to them and you care more about their education and their learning, which I think is really important. Another thing that I've noticed with videos, especially if you like to use a video, like a kickoff video in your discussion, I like to do kickoff discussion posts, and I'm sort of transitioning from a text version of that to a video version. And it does seem like when I'm able to integrate videos into discussions, that it's a little more lively of a discussion, which is it's fun to experience. Nate mentioned the importance of introduction videos. I think if you are new to videos, this is the perfect place for you to start, because you're talking about yourself, you're talking about your passion for the subject matter. And I think that that is really, really important. I have a colleague from another university who was a big, and she would say it. She's like, I'm a big nerd. And so she would, she has a cloak like they wore in Lord of the Rings, like even with like the little leaf thing, and she would have like a superhero mask on, and she would just come into the video, just, hey, this is who I am, and here's who's teaching you English, and here's the things I'm really excited about you're going to be learning from me, and here's what I hope to learn from you throughout the duration of the class. And it was really fun and lovely to see how her students would respond and engage with her, and they would share things that they were excited about. And it really does help you set the tone for the course, especially if you feel like you're in one of those courses that students maybe are dragging their feet a bit and they are not looking forward to the content. You can make them excited about it and you can set the tone for it. If you want to provide a brief overview of the course, I think that's good. But the other thing that I think is really important in that introduction video, not only to say like, hey, here's who I am and here's the things that I like and here's what I love about the subject matter. I think letting them know how you are willing and able to support them is huge. So if you share a cell phone number, making sure they know where to get that phone number, sharing it on your screen, or how to contact you via email. If you have office hours online where you're like, hey, I'm always online at this time during this week, if you need me, I'm there. And I think especially, I'll talk in a few moments about working with students who are neurodiverse or have learning differences. Sometimes those students feel like they are a burden to their instructors. And so if you are very upfront in your introduction video that hey, I am here for you, I want you to succeed, it really does help them kind of take that brick out of their backpack that they're carrying, that they feel like they're a burden and that, oh shoot, I've asked too many questions. So setting up that, hey, I'm here, I want to support you, I want to help you as much as possible. And then, of course, cognitive presence, Nate mentioned this as well. I'll quickly go over this, but this idea that you can help provide examples, especially of complex topics. So I mentioned that I teach writing. And one thing I was noticing, I kind of make a note. I have a teaching journal and I'll just sort of make notes from term to term. I was like, oh, geez, I am seeing a lot of purple prose. I'm seeing a lot of like very florid writing, very convoluted sentence structure, and it's really getting in the way of students being able to make their argument. And so I actually made a video where I talk about what purple prose is and what academic voice is, and I read through examples and I kind of giggle and a little bit through it because I think purple prose is so silly. And so they could see, hey, here's what it looks like, here's what not to do, here's what we're aiming for. And I noticed after that video, I had a huge decrease in purple prose, and that was great. That was great to see that they were taking that video on board and making changes to the writing and thinking about how to put things together. And so that was really nice. And that's one benefit to thinking about what your class needs and making videos in that regard, is you are able to kind of head them off at the pass. And it does save you time grading, because now instead of like, oh my goodness, I've got to like, here's what purple prose is and here's how to fix it and here's why you should care. I can just have that video up front, and then they know, even before they start the assignment, okay, these are the types of things I want to avoid, or here's the types of things I want to make sure I include in my assignment. So that's really nice. And then again, videos, they can pause, they can play, they can revisit, which again, especially for students who are neurodiverse or have learning differences or have learned English as a second language, you cannot overvalue that enough, that they feel like this is a way for them to be in charge of their education, and they can, as slowly as they want to, get through that video, or as quickly as they want to get through that video, or pause it. It's really just a really nice way for them to be a little more active in their learning. And then, of course, for the last one, with the teacher presence, guidance as an expert, you should be proud that you are an expert and that you are able to provide your decades worth of experience in the subject, in the content, and be able to help your students hopefully get a little taste of the passion and what makes you excited about the subject matter. And so that's another really lovely thing that videos can do. And again, kind of going back to this idea of building trust, that videos will allow you to be seen as an expert, and they're going to trust you. And when you give them feedback about things to change or consider, that they're going to take that on with more enthusiasm, hopefully, than if they didn't trust you or you didn't have that good rapport. Nate mentioned the idea of using video in your feedback, and that's a really wonderful idea. I mentioned I use a teaching journal, and I kind of make note of where there are different pain points. And that's usually where I'll start with when it comes to making videos, especially videos that I'm going to send out to the class at large. And it does ultimately end up saving you time. I mean, you have to spend a little bit of time making the videos, but it is nice to know, like, okay, I notice students are always having trouble with this particular thing in an assignment, and I can make a video and make sure they understand it and guide them to that video before they even attempt the assignment. And you do start to see, decreases in those pain points, which is nice. So really quickly, I want to touch on, I've mentioned them before, but our students who are neurodiverse or have learning differences, or even are deaf or hard of hearing. And one of the nice things about accommodations and thinking about how to design your videos is it helps all students. So what helps a student with dyslexia, those types of design elements are going to help a student who doesn't have dyslexia. And so that's really nice. I do want to briefly mention the video tools in Canvas. This is something that sometimes instructors will want to use. I noticed as I was playing around with it in prep for this, is it didn't appear to be adding captions. So that is something I'm going to do a little bit of checking on, because the video tools in Canvas, if they're not allowing you to use captionings, I would recommend using some different tools. ScreenPal is one option. It does limit you to 15 minutes of a video, but that is more than enough time. And you can add on captions, and there's basic editing features. I am really partial to Loom, and I'll share a video when I'm done speaking where you can see me interacting with the Loom editing interface. I really like Loom. I think they do a lot of really lovely things to help students kind of make sense of the video. They'll add chapter sections to the video. They'll auto-generate captions. Of course, you'll want to go in and correct anything, but they do have a Loom Educator account, which is free for verified accounts, and you just go through the process of showing that you're a teacher at a higher education institution, and you can get unlimited videos up to 45 minutes long. Like one video at a time could be up to 45 minutes, which is nice. And then they also have other options that you can pay for that have more AI, but the Loom Educator account is a really great place, really good place to get you started. So really quickly, I just want to touch on the importance of accessibility and using captions or transcripts. So if you're going to use a tool like Loom that will generate those captions for you, that's wonderful. You can just go back in and correct them. If not, if you're using something that won't auto-generate the captions, but will let you upload captions or a transcript, that's definitely something that you want to do, and definitely think about students. And it does seem more and more I mean, I'm getting older, so I mean, I don't know, maybe you as you approach middle age, you're like, captions while I watch TV. More people like captions. They like having that opportunity. And so captions are essential. You also want to think about how you guide your students to the videos, especially if it's just a hyperlink. You don't want to just plop the link in there. Title it, guide them, make sure that they know like to click on this video, draw their attention to it. And I'll link some resources from our wonderful team that they've developed some really great resources for accessibility, but that's really, really important to consider. And when you are writing or creating videos, think about your outline and the focus that you want to do. Consider your visuals. High contrast is typically better. Be mindful of using a lot of red or green, because if you have a student that has color blindness, those colors cannot show up very well. And so, try and be mindful of that. Do a couple of practice runs. It's always interesting to do a practice run, and you'll notice maybe some verbal tics that you have yourself. And that's another reason why editing can be so nice. And then check your audio and check your lighting as much as possible. Obviously they're not expecting maybe like a Steven Spielberg quality of video, but just be mindful of that so they can hear and see you. And then chunk videos, keep things concise and focused as much as possible. Nate said 5 minutes. That is definitely what I would strive for. Sometimes you might go a little but certainly no more than 10. That is really pushing the limits of when adult learners, their attention starts to wane. And be really mindful of your language, be clear and concise as possible, especially if you notice you're teaching a lot of students who maybe have learned English as a second language, different colloquialisms may not translate very well. And so just be mindful of that. Video structure, I would recommend always having a consistent video structure that your students can rely upon, especially if you're going to use chapter headings in a video. So a brief intro explaining what the video is going to cover, content, and then a conclusion. I always like to remind them what I told them, or how they're going to use this information, or where they're going to use this information, so they know. And then if you have a longer piece of content and you're going to be making several videos, make sure that you prep that. So like the first video, you would indicate that this is the first video and what you're going to cover. And then when the second video starts, you indicate that this was the second video and guide them to where the first video is located if they haven't read it sometime or watched it. That can be really helpful for students. And then when you are sharing videos, think about how you can make sure it's really clear how to get to the video. So I really like, if I post it in an announcement, I'll also send an email about it. Or if I've put something in grading feedback, I might share it through announcements or send like a personalized email like, hey, I got your outline graded. Hey, why don't you check out the video that I posted? And if you have any questions, let me know, just so they are aware of where the videos are and how to access them. And another thing that I have started doing is actually contact students and ask them like, hey, if you watched this video on Purple Prose, did it make sense? Did you understand what I was, hoping to convey? Were there any changes you would want, or any different examples? And then if you get students that respond back, you can start making changes, making notes of how you might improve the video in the future. And that's another nice way to help build that rapport and sense of community. I noticed the students who, when I ask them for feedback on that, they get really excited that they are like, oh my goodness, you care what I think and what my experience was like. And yes, of course, that's why I'm a teacher. That's why I'm here for you. And so that's one little thing that you can do. Even if you don't make changes to the videos every single time you get feedback, it does help you understand, hey, maybe this is what people are looking for, how I might make changes in the future. So I'll share some links in the chat, and now I'll turn it over to Katie.
All right. So a lot of what Nate and Whitney said, I have the same background as Whitney as a English professor and instructional designer. So what I wanted to do is kind of jump into showing a couple of these ideas, and someone, Holly actually just put in the chat, Jing, which is one of those free items. I'll grab they changed the name of it to TechSmith Capture, but I'll put the link in the chat for everyone. So it's like Jing, what Jing used to be called Jing. So there's a lot of things out there that people can use that are free. And one thing too about video, which I think is really important, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. So sometimes we might have, like I have 3 dogs and a cat. My cat usually walks across the keyboard on any live session that I have. I have a couple of videos and I'll share a couple of options of what I've done. And I have dogs barking in the background. And I think that human element is really, really important. So as people start to think about getting your personal ideas out there, making that connection with students, kind of showing that you're human, and you really, your video doesn't have to be, 110% perfect. Because I mean, everyone has that like perfectionist issue that I sometimes have. So just leaving that dog barking in the background kind of kills me. But I'm like, then again, the students know you're in the same situation. You have a million things going on and you're there to kind of help them, and it's okay. And someone said this idea of being like messy by nature, which I absolutely love that. So as we kind of start to think about this, I also wanted to, I'm going to share that link. I think Whitney already put it in there. But for Loom, which is a really, really great, I put that link in there. All right, perfect. Which is another really good option for video as well. So it's just something to start to really think about, and don't think about making it like so absolutely perfect at first. Just kind of get through it. If you feel if it's more comfortable for you to outline your ideas, do a couple of practice takes, go for it. If you want to just kind of, just try it out for the first time, that's okay too. So it's the same thing with writing. Everyone has a different way of doing it, and it's really whatever works best for you. And really getting out there and just trying something. So as we kind of think about this, this is partial. I'm sorry. He only comes on during Zoom meetings. He's like 15, so he does whatever he wants. So when we have these videos, we know obviously things happen. And I really think that there's other things that we can use when we think about even just voicing over a PowerPoint. Some people are like, okay, I do not want my face on this video right now, which I get it. We all feel like that sometimes. So there are some videos like when Whitney and even Nate said there's, these different points that are just pain points, and students there's one particular assignment they're really struggling with, and really going through and just walking through the assignment, even if your face is not on there, that's okay. They hear your voice. They know you're human. You're not using AI to make your discussion posts, and you're an actual person too. And I think that human element is important, because sometimes there's this weird teacher-student relationship where, they're afraid to ask questions. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to sound stupid. But these videos really show that you're human. This whole idea of being messy sometimes is fantastic. And that's really how things work. And a lot of the stuff that I had for my notes, everybody has kind of covered. But I wanted to share just a couple of options. Or a couple of ideas of videos that I've done, and I post all of mine to YouTube. So it's the easiest way I found usually for students kind of access them, even if they're on a phone, whatever type of device that they're on. And there is that captioning also, which is really helpful. So let me share my screen. I'll just share a couple of examples. All right, so I don't know if the video or the audio is going to work through this, but we'll try it anyways. So this one is just going to be a writing notebook walkthrough. I have the same idea that Whitney has. There's always these different assignments that students just really, really need help with. And these videos are a great way of kind of just like walking through, which is really important. And it looks like Holly also put an example on here too, which is awesome. So not going on camera, yes, to emphasize the content. That's a really, really good point, Holly. So people aren't like, hey, what's going on in their background? Why are there cats and dogs everywhere? So let me just play, I'll just play a little bit from this one just for this walkthrough video of this writing notebook.
We are not hearing the audio, Katie.
All right. So even if we're not hearing the audio, so I have the captions here anyways. So as we kind of think about this, it's kind of just going through literally just step by step, and really starting to think about what you're explaining to the student. And for these writing notebooks, it's really, really step by step here. And something too that, again, that Holly said is really, I don't want to have like, you know, my face plastered everywhere. Also, I'd rather just be able to kind of focus on the content to allow the students to really focus on that. This video did turn out to be like 5.5 minutes, but trying to cover everything, sometimes you can't in those 5 minutes, but doing the best that you can is definitely helpful. I usually just put everything up on YouTube because it just makes it, for me, it's easier just to kind of organize it here. And I want to think about too, here's another one of the options too. This is something that Nate had actually sent out to, you know, remind people of how we can start to, when Canvas changes things get wonky and people don't know of all these updates and changes. So we had sent out something about expanding discussion board threads so we can kind of go in and see everything. So this was just another short video that I made. It's really simple. It's only a minute long for students just to say, hey, double check what's going on in your discussion boards, make sure that everything is open just so you can see everything. And I think it also helped because I'm sure people didn't see that little expand threads up there when Canvas came up with that update, whenever that was. So starting to look at these little things that can really help student success, I think is really helpful. And as we kind of start thinking about overall, once the student has kind of mastered something, if there's something else that we could do, kind of keep it moving forward, keep that momentum moving. So if we say that, you know, they've done a fantastic job on their week 3 journal, and then we get to, you know, week 4, even if they're doing a great job, sometimes it's nice to make a little positive video, just something simple. It doesn't have to always be, you know, working on an assignment. Just, hey, everyone, you've done great job. It's been a fantastic from last week to this week. I can see your improvements. So even if it's something just a little positivity and a little something more personal in a class, I think is definitely important with this idea of video overall. And it sounds like there's a lot of people, I think it's a lot of Holly too, that have a lot going on with video, which is fantastic. And when we start to think about what we're doing, you can always make updates, you can always change things. And what's really nice is that the students, again, they can stop, they can pause, they can watch it, they can save it, whatever they need. And it really is a time saver, like Whitney said. If you have something that if it's this particular discussion board that people are, you know, having issues with, giving them some ideas of how to start, some brainstorming, because I'm in the same boat as Whitney, as we teach that class that everyone has to take. So once you get used to that after a while, you'll really start to see how you can make that connection. And okay, maybe it's not fun for everyone, but you can at least make it a little more interactive and engaging for them. So they're more likely to reach out with questions. They're more likely to say, hey, you know, I don't get this. Can you help me? And they feel that connection a little bit more. And I do have one friend, she gives most of her feedback through video. So she will just have someone's paper on the screen and literally talk through every single thing, and then also give them that written feedback as well in Canvas, or her courses are in Blackboard. But it's the same idea of, I like to look at it more as a conversation. I try and share that with my students, that's what the feedback is. Try not to look at it as just criticism. It's a conversation. You've shared your writing with me. I'm sharing my ideas with you. Then you can come back. You can ask for clarification, anything that you need. So I think the videos are really helpful kind of starting that discussion, because you do sometimes feel alone as an online student. So I think really bringing that together and is really, really helpful for this. And then so for the people that are on here today, so how many people already use video? Because I know Holly has a bunch of examples here, so let's definitely check those out. And so if anyone else has used video, if you can just say yes in the chat. Okay, good. Lisa's experimenting. Chris, yes. Awesome, awesome. And yeah, definitely just play with it, Lisa. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, like one of my videos, there's literally dogs barking in the background. I know my face is like, please stop barking, but the students can get that. They can see that, you know, you're human, you're there to help them. There's that whole personal aspect of it, which is fantastic. And I definitely think that there's a lot of learning tools too. If you just go online and like search up literally how to work, how to, you know, sign up for Loom for the first time. Like Whitney said, there's a lot of tutorials out there to help you. So sometimes people feel a little scared or intimidated by video, but there's a lot of really simple things. If you start with that introduction video, like Lisa's going to experiment with it for the first time, just start with a quick introduction, introducing you to the class, you know, giving a little overview, just sharing more about you. And it's the same thing with our writing students. You know, if they're writing about something they know about and they like, it's easier to write. So we can think about that as our kind of entry into our video as well. So for anyone that hasn't started video or hasn't used it before, anyone feel like they would like to try it? Hopefully. Besides Lisa and Holly. Well, and Nate and Whitney. And it's great that you have, everyone has like a lot of support too. So I'm sure that there are other people. I know everyone teaches in different disciplines. If there are questions about it, I'm sure people can, you know, have their contacts to kind of work with too. So I feel like, Nate, did we want to open it for questions?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you both. Katie, that was great. Whitney, thank you so much. I feel like I want to kind of ask a couple of questions and kind of bring it back. Our friend Dr. Beach mentioned, very early on, he's been wanting to do, and I feel like he's representative of a lot of people, been wanting to use it, getting caught up in wanting to be perfect. I know all three of us have kind of talked about, it's maybe more important to get it up, but you've both shared, pretty real concerns about making sure these are accessible, not just where students can find them, but also students can, have the closed captioning, whatever. I just wonder, if we could maybe talk a little bit about how we balance that, the need for these things to be accessible, for them to be done properly, for them to be done effectively, but also the need to be kind of like casual about them, to do a 1-minute video when you notice that something's wrong in the classroom. So, and I know we're talking about YouTube and Loom and different places that might provide that, but any other Whitney or Katie, like suggestions or just, feedback from you on this idea of balancing, it's a large lift. How do we do that?
So I think for me, because I have a tendency to do all things all the time, just full steam ahead. So I would just start, if you are not new to, or if you're new to videos, I would just start jotting down somewhere like, hey, what are like the biggest pain points that I'm noticing? And just attack the list from there. Don't feel like, oh, I've got to create 9 videos for my next class that starts next week. Start small, do an introductory video, and then maybe there's an assignment that you're like, geez, I keep making the same types of grading feedback, and just start there. And that's the lovely thing about videos is you make the introduction video the one time, make sure it's captioned, and then you have it forever unless you decide you want to change something, later on. But I think just focus on getting that introductory video done. I'm redoing mine, as a matter of fact. That's like on my to-do list. And then your biggest pain point, what are you seeing? And then attack it from there. And I think I like Loom, like I mentioned, because it will caption for me, because I have done captioning work as an instructional designer. It is not my favorite thing to do. So if I can use a tool like Loom that will do it for me, excellent. I like that. And just even if you jot down an outline or a script, and that can be so helpful. So you don't lose track of where you want your video to start and end. And that makes it, I think, a little easier and digestible as well. I had a colleague that would just like sit down and just start talking, and their videos were like 25 minutes long. And it was like, no, you need to like plan. So that's where I would start, is your introduction and your biggest pain point as an instructor and what you're seeing with your students.
I like that idea too, because it is a large lift. It's a lot of extra work to make one of these videos. But if you think of it from the perspective of you're building a library that you can use when you teach the class again, suddenly the lift isn't quite so big, right? Like you're intentionally thinking about how to scale your learning and realizing that if you construct the video the right way, you can reuse it. But I want to get back to this idea of accessibility. I post a lot of videos on YouTube, but I definitely heard from people that they're not comfortable with that. And I can totally understand why. YouTube monetizes videos, and there's some weird aspects to it. One thing that I've found that's worked really well is to post my videos to YouTube, but have them be unlisted. So they're not searchable through YouTube. No one else can find them. YouTube presumably can't monetize them in a way that is icky. But if you provide that link to a student, they can still get that video, still watch it. It still has the built-in captioning. But Katie, I mean, you were sharing your YouTube page. Is that something you've tried, or is that just a hump you got over in a different way? The idea of being icky?
I don't really mind my stuff being out there at all. So I usually just have it. My stuff is usually set to public. And I teach at other schools too. So I have all kinds of videos out there, instructional videos and whatnot. But I just think it's like accessible wise. So if people are on different devices and they click the link, they're not going to have some type of potential issue when students are trying to view something. And like, even though there are those auto captions, you could put your own captions in. The auto ones are just but it's still better than no captions.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder about that issue of accessibility. Like, I don't want that to be a reason why people hold back from creating videos. One of the things, and Chris has talked about Descript in the chat. I know people use a lot of different ways to generate their caption files. YouTube does it automatically, and you can go in and change them. One of the things I've tried is sending students a link to a free speech to text generator that they can put on while my video is playing, and then it will generate. Now, I don't know the quality of that caption, right? Because it's being generated automatically and I'm not even present for that. But I wonder, like, Whitney, you're talking about accessibility and making sure that we're doing that. Does that kind of thing seem okay? Does that seem like it's fulfilling at least some basic due diligence on the video creator's part, or is that a slippery slope here?
Oh, so I was in charge of captioning at another institution. So I am like, and at that institution, we had a rule that the captioning had to be 98% accurate. So I come at it from that perspective, that I'm like, it's got to be really accurate. The video I posted where I show you using Looms, and I feel like when I use Loom, they get it right. They're at about 97, 98% right in their auto-generated. And I might go in and, make a couple of edits here and there. So that video I posted, that first one, using Loom's editing tools. And for me, I can plan the video, whatever content I want to share in the video, do a run through, record and edit. And that whole process maybe takes me between 45 minutes and an hour, sometimes less, depending on the length of the video. So I am all about, using tools like Loom that are going to get a pretty faithful captioning for me, just so that's not something I have to spend a bunch of time doing, because it can take a long time. It absolutely can. But and I think YouTube's auto generation is better than it used to be. I know back in the day it was like 65% accurate. And that was if you had a very clear sort of, I always think of like how Jimmy Stewart and like Grace Kelly would talk, like a very like that Midwest Atlantic pretend dialect that they used. So now it's a little better. I don't know that it's up to like in the 90s, but I feel like Loom is pretty good with that. Let me see. 90. they get more science correct in the auto transcript? That's a great question. I would try Loom and see how well that does. And the nice thing is most captioning, they're going to let you go in and edit. So even if you have to go in and edit a couple of terms here or there, it's just the one time you have to edit it. Maybe that takes you 15 minutes or so, or less, just kind of depending on what you want to share. And I'm not sure what this institution's policy is on captioning. I know they want captioning, but I don't know if they have like a set standard. I'll see if I can find out, or if anybody knows. Usually it's around anywhere between 95 to like 98%, like faithful captioning.
Cole mentioned earlier in the chat, Whitney, when you were talking about the Canvas flaw of not generating captions for videos that you make within Canvas. And I think one of the things that's difficult, and we've all touched on this, is the idea of getting these videos to students. It's too bad that we can't use the Canvas native tool reliably because of that captioning problem. I mean, where do we put these videos then? I mean, are we giving MP4 files to students? Are we creating YouTube accounts? Is there something else I don't know about as a way to deliver videos to students? I guess I want to make sure that we're covering bases, because you can make an amazing video, but if you can't find a way to put it in front of your students, then what's happening? And I guess, we can do these things on our computers and upload or embed, but where is it being embedded from? So are there other places that we haven't touched on where we could house these types of videos? Open-ended question.
I mean, some schools have, like Kaltura or Panopto, and it's built right into Canvas, and you could do it in there, but that's like on the wish list.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something to think about when we're sort of all agreeing that creating videos for students, it's a great way to connect with them and to create this sense of belonging in the classroom. Finding ways to do it correctly will require a little bit more intentional work on the part of the video creator. And I think there are some things we can do to make sure that that intentional work doesn't go to waste, that we're looking the way Whitney and Katie have talked about, looking at those pain points. We're planning out videos in such a way as to make sure that they're evergreen, but finding a place where they can live so as to be recycled in our classes, I think is another aspect to this. And I think these are all things that, we're all going to come up with individual answers. Holly mentioned she doesn't like Loom. Whitney and Katie seem to be drinking the Kool-Aid on Loom. I've never used it, and I use Screencast-O-Matic quite a bit, but I also just I got a Mac, I just record myself, using iMovie or whatever. So, I feel like we all naturally, or maybe we have to intentionally find our way to the tools, the systems, the processes that work best for us. And I think, to go back to, Lisa talking about trying to get started with this and playing around, Ron talking about, wanting to do it and kind of being held back. I think, part of what the goal, at least from my perspective of today's presentation was just to say, hey, lots of different ways to do this. You got to do it. You have to push that button. You have to hit record, and go from there. And I think hopefully today, the conversation between us and the interactivity we've been having in the chat, I think hopefully that provides everybody with a little bit of motivation to give this a shot the next time they're stumbling across a stumbling block in a class. I think that will be something that we could all try in the future. It'd be great, to kind of set a goal to make one new video every time you teach a class. One new video that you can reuse the next time you teach the class. And, after a year, you've got a bench of 5 or 6 videos that you can deploy when you need to in the classroom. So I really think that it's one of those things that may not come naturally to everybody. It is a little bit of a lift, but I think that once you get started, it kind of has a snowball effect, and I think is going to going to reap real benefits in the classroom in all the ways that we've talked about. So yeah, I really appreciate the insights you guys brought today. Katie, Whitney, thank you so much. Thanks, Nate. You did a pretty good job too. Yeah, no problem, Nate. I think we did okay here. I mean, to me, the big quote of the day is Whitney like literally looking at the camera and saying, "Hot dog." Maybe one of the more Midwestern things I've heard in my life happen authentically. Stephanie, what do you think of that?
Yeah, and now it's recording, so we can edit it into a video
Yep.
with caption.
You can just have it forever. I'll make you a hot dish, you know, with tater tots and ground beef, whatever you
Ooh,
need, guys,
there
whatever
we
you
go.
need.
That plus the cat making an appearance. So thank you so much, Nate, Katie, Whitney. A really insightful session. I was reading through the chat, an encouraging session, and a somewhat liberating session because people feel like it's okay to try this now. So really appreciate you and appreciate the audience. So thank you so much for your participation in today's session. I dropped the link in the chat for our survey, so please use that to nominate TLC presentations for conference awards and to share your feedback on the session today. But thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.